Well, it's a pleasure to have the chance to speak with Njeri Mwangi, who is associated with the Mathare Social Justice Centre in the informal settlements of Nairobi. And we're here to do another of our series of interviews on the political and social consequences and people's responses to the COVID-19 pandemic. So, like I said, it's a pleasure to be able to speak with you. Let me just begin by asking, what is the situation on the ground in places like Mathare? What is the response, the atmosphere associated with the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic?
Uh, Currently, I think people are trying to at least normalize it, unlike when the pandemic came at first. When the first case was mentioned in Nairobi, people in Mathare were a bit scared because like most of the Mathare residents are those people who go look for job, and then what they get from those job is what they eat. So with the pandemic, you don't go outside. You have to be indoors. There's no food, we don't people most people in Mathare don't have food storage. So it's what you get for that day is what you get for that day is what you eat. So people were just scared. There was a lot of fear, and people were just scared. And also there was also a lot of false information about COVID-19. People were told that if you just get COVID-19, you'll die. People didn't have the true information about the disease. Yeah.
Mm. And you say now things are becoming normalized?
Yeah. Yeah. Like people are trying to normalize living with COVID. Like now, people are putting water stations to wash up their hands. You will hear even people talking about it, like telling other people to just go and do the testing. So people are trying to normalize living with the pandemic.
And what are the major difficulties and things like this that people are coming up against?
One of the greatest challenges, it's not an inward challenge, it's an outward challenge. Because of the pandemic in Mathare, we have had a lot of police brutality. Like we had to end, like before the president had to enforce the 7 p.m. curfew, and most of the people fall into victims because police in Mathare usually abuse people. They don't give life dignity. They don't give people the dignity that they deserve. So people are being beaten even before 7 p.m. We have recorded a number of killings out of the curfew time. People are being killed while going home, and the police could say that these people had violated the curfew, and most of them were even killed before the 7 p.m. So, the restrictions are a big challenge to most of the residents of Mathare. An inward challenge is that like in Mathare, it's an informal settlement, and we don't have an access to water. And you know how COVID-19 is spread. So imagine having the pandemic and you don't have access to water. And a 20 liters bottle jerry can of water in Mathare goes for 20 shillings. So if you have 4 kids, maybe you will need 3 jerry cans. So that means you'll have to buy water at 60. So that has also be a challenge. And the government is not providing water for the residents of Mathare.
And so,
Yeah.
what kind of initiatives at the grassroots are people like the people in Mathare Social Justice Centre, other organizations involved in to secure the survival of people during this context, in this context?
So when the pandemic started, like Mathare Social Justice, we did a survey in all the 6 wards of Mathare. This was just to like mark the water points that we had in Mathare, and accessibility also. The people can these people living in that locality access these water points? And also we have been doing sensitization for the residents living in Mathare. We have also tried to reach out to friends to who can help in donating food. Like we know we have campaign against people living, campaign for the people for persons living with disability. Such people have been affected greatly with the COVID-19. So we have also been trying to reach out to friends, see what they can help us. Some have been sending foodstuff and we give to such people, and also some have been sending money, and we usually buy food and drugs for these people.
Mm, mm.
Yeah.
And with respect to in many places, there's been a lot of political turbulence, political and social turbulence in response to the economic situation in particular caused by the pandemic. Can you comment anything about the political situation in Kenya, how the authorities have responded to the pandemic?
As I had said before, uh, there has not been much like positive response from maybe the political class to the grassroots. There has not been any positive response. All the response that we have gotten are just positive. Like we have tried reaching out when most people were being beaten during the enforcement of the curfew hour, the 7 p.m. curfew, and we got no response. And we even like last week we had a peaceful demonstration about of people who were killed, not only of people who were killed during the pandemic, just to tell the government that this should stop. But we haven't gotten any positive response.
Yeah. So, and with respect to the situation of gender violence, has there been an outbreak, increase in gender violence? What's the situation for the women in Mathare?
There has been an increase in gender violence. Like now you see people, most of the people are forced to stay at home. So if we get a family where the father and the mother can't go to work, they have to stay at home. And people usually have differences, and this has also affected most of the families. And also because of the lockdowns, like we have recorded also cases because of the lockdown, not only family violence, but also cases of SGBV, like rape. People, we have recorded a number of cases of rape resulting to the COVID-19. Because people also don't have so much to do. And I tried interviewing someone about the issue of the increase of violence. You know, when, like, maybe I give an example of a man. When one is oppressed where he works, he will definitely want to remove his depression on someone else. So maybe when a man goes to work and he's told today you're not working because of the pandemic, so you have to go home, he'll want to remove his stress on someone else. Maybe he'll go at home and also try remove his stress, maybe by yelling or beating the wife. And also, maybe the wife will also want to relieve herself by throwing some of the burden to the children. So this has also been this has been an issue that has caused a lot of LGBTV in Mathare.
Yeah. And has the Mathare Social Justice Centre, other organizations, what kind of things have they been doing trying to ameliorate or make this situation better?
What we have been trying to do, one is we usually try to get counselors. So, but they are usually volunteers. So we have been documenting all these cases, and those cases which maybe the victims need counselors, we refer them to the counselors. But also getting counselors has not been easy. There are very many cases where the victims are really in need of counselors, but we are not able to maybe refer them because there are no counselors.
And this is linked to the COVID-19 situation.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I was very interested in was with respect to the ongoing campaign against police brutality, this outpouring of solidarity with the African American communities, Blacks in America, after the brutal killing of George Floyd. And in fact, people mobilizing around that issue. Could you maybe comment a bit about that?
Pardon?
Could you comment a bit about that?
About the killing of
about the solidarity.
George?
Yeah, about the solidarity and the way in which the way in which people in Mathare could see commonality between the police brutality in the United States and the police brutality that they face in Mathare.
Yes, maybe first of all, I think I'm just loving the solidarity that is just being given, and people are not are just uprising against the police brutality. You know, like in Mathare for so many years, police brutality was normalized.
Yeah.
So seeing people standing up and demanding for George's justice is really great, and it does not matter where someone has been maybe denied his justice. So this is very great. Even in Mathare, we have mural of George Floyd all over. People have done murals saying I can't breathe. There are about 10 of them in the different 6 wards of Mathare. Also, people are in solidarity with that. So I'm really loving the solidarity that people are giving out, and we are seeing this as injustice. We are not normalizing it because he was killed by a police. We should just normalize it.
And so on that theme of solidarity, what do you think solidarity can and should look like for people from other places with the suffering and the struggle of people in Mathare? What should international solidarity with respect to the struggle in Mathare look like?
In my view, I think solidarity, if international solidarity for the people in Mathare should look like, I think it's that's the same way George Floyd is being given solidarity from all over the world. The same solidarity should be given if a person in Mathare has been brutalized by a police or his justice has been denied. So I also expect to see such kind of solidarity if it happens to someone from Mathare.
Do you see it?
In most cases, no.
And why do you think that is? What are the ways in which solidarity for the struggle of people in Mathare could be increased, do you think?
One is by advocacy and making sure that, that we are our advocacy is on another level.
So in terms of the struggle going forward, what are the main prospects for people in Mathare with this pandemic? What kinds of challenges and difficulties are they going to most likely be having to overcome in the future?
One is it's still ongoing, but I'm also seeing it in the future. People losing their jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how are people going to survive?
Pardon?
How are people going to survive?
So that's a really tricky question because yes, people because one needs to go to maybe to work for one to be able to survive in a harsh condition in harsh conditions such as Mathare, because it's really hard. So I can imagine someone losing a job, and maybe you have a family. Trying to survive in Mathare, it's really tricky and it's really hard. Most of people have been trying to take panya routes to go back to their rural homes. But most of them have not been lucky because of the county lockdowns. So some have been arrested. So how I think it's one to figure out how you'll survive. And I know this will also have another impact in the future, because police violence will also go on another notch, because when they see young men maybe sitting in a base somewhere and they're not going to work, they usually say these people are thieves. So imagine a large percentage of people in Mathare losing their job and don't have anything to do. And you know how our houses are built. So you can't stay inside your house even for a half a day. You have maybe to go sit down in a base. This also makes you feel a little bit, you have a little bit peace and you're not stressed by sharing. When you're at the base and you're sharing your problems with others. But when people in authority see young men sitting in a base, they usually criminalize them.
And thank you very much for taking your time to speak.
You're welcome.
To speak with me, and I hope to stay in touch going forward.
Okay, thank you. I also appreciate your time.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome.